Thank you, everyone, for being a part of the Pacific Salmon Foundation's first ever virtual gala. I'm Michael Menier, President and CEO of PSF. As you know, Pacific salmon are one of the official symbols of British Columbia, and they're vital to our economy, our environment, and our cultures. As such, I'd like to take a moment to begin by recognizing that we are coming to you from the territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. And we recognize that this is a BC gala for salmon, and people are coming to us from the many traditional territories across BC, and we acknowledge this at the outset. Well, this is something different for all of us. Like all charities, we are feeling the impact of COVID-19, but we're carrying on with our supporters. Because we are unable to host our in-person fundraising galas and community dinners, we've decided to go virtual. As a thoughtful leader and catalyst in conservation and restoration for Pacific salmon, all of us at PSF feel a responsibility to continue to connect with you and to galvanize support for the salmon community, and to update you on the work that's been going on at PSF and with our partners amidst COVID. But most importantly, we need to raise funds tonight and have some fun along the way so that the important work of PSF can continue. PSF galas and fundraising events are really the linchpin of fundraising for our programs in salmon science, conservation, and restoration. Working with many partners, such as salmon streamkeepers, First Nations, universities, the public and commercial fisheries, and environmental professionals, and all of you, your support is important now more than ever. Your generosity tonight enables volunteers, citizen scientists, professional scientists, and communities across British Columbia to continue to persevere for Pacific salmon and their ecosystems. We'd like to start with a short video about some of the challenges that Pacific salmon face today and how PSF and our diverse partners are working together to catalyze game-changing solutions for our Pacific salmon.
2020 has been a tough year for all of us. We're experiencing a pandemic, economic turmoil, social upheaval, and we've seen floods, droughts, and other environmental problems. Unfortunately for many Pacific salmon stocks, it's also a time of crisis for some populations. Pacific salmon are a keystone species, critical to the health of entire ecosystems, a major piece of our economy, and this crisis has a cascade of effect to all who depend on them, especially for First Nations across the province, who rely on them for food and culture. But salmon are resilient, and PSF is doing everything we can to help them, such as supporting game-changing projects in places like the Bonaparte River.
So I was asked a question about how do you get people on the ocean and the interior to relate to each other in terms of these salmon populations, and everyone's in their own backyard. And you know, I want to stress to people down on the coast, because that's where the majority of BC kind of lives, and that's where a lot of the salmon seem to be, but 80% of the salmon spawn up here in the interior. And unless we invest in them, it's just not going to work anymore. They have to have money put into them to try and produce more fish. Well, we're up in the interior of BC, in a beautiful area known as the Bonaparte Watershed. And we're on the Tanami Ranch owned by Gary and Sue Willis.
We love nature, not just the river, but all the animals that the river provides for. So we have a vested interest in the river doing well.
Oh, the river's very important to us. Without the river, we don't have water for our cows, we don't have water for irrigation to make hay, and we basically wouldn't be here without the river being here.
I am very proud to protect the river and the Chinook population because it is very important to me and for the killer whales.
Bonaparte itself is about 120 kilometers long, and so that doesn't include all the tributaries, and it's quite a large producer of salmon in the interior. It's an important river. The Chinook that come here are the Chinook that the southern killer whale population is targeting, and it also has a population of coho that is not doing very well since probably the 2000s as well. We're fighting a bit of a Mother Nature firestorm right now. We've got flash floods, we've got some fire damage. There's basically not a lot of forest cover left to hold back that water, and it's really impacted the river in a negative way, and it's set back our restoration program you know, a good 5 or 10 years where we got to play catch up again now and try and bring that back to where we were. We've partnered with the Pacific Salmon Foundation on some great projects. We know that dollars are limited all over the place. Everyone's looking for the same money to fix the same problems. So if we can come to the foundation with these great ideas that are economical, that have a huge, you know, bang for Chinook and coho habitat, so that in 10 years from now, we can get back to kind of where we were and hopefully get these numbers up from the low hundreds and the low tens to back into the thousands.
PSF has a 32-year history of supporting salmon stewards. This commitment has not changed amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, but we need your support now more than ever in order to address the challenges that salmon face during this time of crisis for some population. PSF funds salmon conservation and restoration projects to the tune of $1.6 million annually, but that only funds about half of the requests. Salmon are resilient, and there's a lot we can do to help them recover. You can help make a difference. Please consider making a donation to support this critical work. Every contribution will help make a difference. Thank you.
So, as you can see, there's a lot of work to be done. And PSF, most importantly, Pacific Salmon, need your help. Now, to give you an idea of what to expect tonight, we have a 45-minute program ahead of us. We'll share video updates like the one you just saw on new and ongoing work for salmon around BC, work that is made possible thanks to the support from our donors here tonight. We'll also keep you up to date on the online auction and donations as they come in. We are known for an awesome online auction at all of our events, and it is in that spirit tonight. A very successful auction already. But if you haven't had a chance yet to check out the auction, please do. You can scan this QR code that's on the screen on your phone and scroll through the auction on your mobile device so you don't miss any of the show on your computer or TV. Now, if you're like my wife and need a little bit of help with the QR code, and most mobile devices, you just hold your photo app open and the QR code will be activated. Using a QR code is easy. Just pull up the camera on your mobile device and hold it to the QR code. It'll take you right into the auction. It's easy to get in the game, and all those funds are going to support those great projects like you just saw and that we're going to talk about tonight. You'll be directed to the webpage, and it's very easy to use from there. Now, the auction is going to close at 8 o'clock tonight, 8 o'clock Pacific time. We've got a lot of friends dialing in from the East Coast and everywhere in between in Canada and the United States. So please bid often and bid generously. Thank you to the many donors who have supported our auction with trips, with art, merchandise, and many other unique experiences and donations in that auction. We are tremendously grateful for your support. Now, tonight, with our first virtual gala, we have a special opportunity for you to fund a salmon need and have your tax-deductible donation matched. We want to say a very special word of thanks to Bob Gayton and his family and the Kay family of Duncanby for offering to match cumulative donations made tonight up to $50,000. And it's very easy to do this on the webpage and the mobile platform. It's just a donation, it's a tax-deductible donation, and your donation can be matched tonight. We'll be talking more about this matching fund later, but you can make a donation at any time tonight with the QR code on your screen, or you can go to psfvirtualgala.com. Now, speaking of donors, thank you to Tech. Tech signed on as our lead gala sponsor for this year, and we'd like to share a short message from our friend Don Lindsay, President and CEO of Tech.
I just wanted to take a moment to share just how important supporting the Pacific Salmon Foundation is to both Tech and to me personally. Some of my fondest memories are of salmon fishing in Haida Gwaii with my father. And I've spent countless hours with friends and colleagues who share that love of being out on the water. All of us at Tech respect just how important salmon are to BC, both ecologically and culturally. So supporting Pacific Salmon Foundation is part of our commitment to maintaining this resource for generations to come. It means a lot to our employees, and it means a lot to me. So thank you to Pacific Salmon Foundation for their tremendous work, and to all of you for doing your part to support salmon in our province and beyond. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Don, and to all your colleagues at Tech, thank you very much. You've supported us for many years as the lead sponsor. We really could not have done it without you. And thank you to all of our lead sponsors tonight, including Leith Wheeler, Mosaic Forest Management, LNG Canada, Helijet, and Pan American Silver. There's also some special supporters who PSF would like to acknowledge who, over the course of time, we've been around now for over 30 years, these folks on this list that you're seeing on the screen have all donated at least $100,000 over the history of the Pacific Salmon Foundation. Many of them have donated much, much more. This is outstanding, and it shows you the breadth and spirit of our partners. They truly do go above and beyond. So hold that one up on the screen for a little bit so people can take a look at that and recognize these amazing individuals, foundations, and companies, as well as government entities and First Nations that support PSF. Thank you very much. I want to highlight just a few on that list. The Pacific Salmon Endowment Fund. This is an organization that has supported the core operating needs of our Pacific Salmon Foundation now for almost 20 years. These funds that come into us reliably from the endowment allow us to direct at least 90 cents of every dollar you donate to projects. That's critical, and we couldn't do it without the endowment, and we thank the endowment for their faith and confidence in us. They also support many of our strategic initiatives that you'll be hearing about this evening, in addition to helping with our core operations. The federal government, the Government of Canada, has been a long-time hand-in-glove supporter of the Pacific Salmon Foundation. The Salmon Conservation Stamp that those of you in the public fishery buy, the $6 stamp that supports our community salmon program, wouldn't be possible without federal government support. Our Salish Sea Marine Survival Program that got us into marine research had a major commitment from the federal government. More recently, our Salmon Explorer data visualization tool. And then, of course, in the last couple of years, the BC Salmon Restoration and Innovation Fund, a $140 million fund over 5 years, jointly invested in by the federal and provincial government. And speaking of the province of BC, the province of British Columbia has gotten into supporting wild salmon in a very big way in the last few years. They've contributed to the BC Salmon Restoration Innovation Fund, and they also made a 5-year grant commitment to the Pacific Salmon Foundation in 2019, $1 million a year for 5 years to support critical salmon conservation and recovery programs around BC. Thank you to the endowment and our federal and provincial government for this support. Now, I know you're all busy donating, so I want to give you a quick update on where we stand. Thanks to the support of our sponsors, all of you who made a donation when you registered for the event. Many of these donations were made in lieu of dinner tickets for our postponed community dinners and galas. We're going to get back to these dinners soon enough, folks. But many of you who come regularly made a donation in lieu of those seats and tables. We thank you very much. Plus, all of your bids in the auction so far. We have already raised more than $200,000 tonight as we started. In fact, we're up there, as you see, in the totalizer, over $216,000. Give yourself a big round of applause. I just see Mandel Pindner, our good board member Brenda Gertner, just came in with a donation there. Thank you for everything that you've done to date to get us to over $200,000. We're hoping that you're going to help us well exceed our $300,000 goal tonight. And we know that with your support, we can get there. Now, on the topic of donating at registration, we offered an incentive for those who signed up before October 15th. And we drew a winner for this special incentive. It's an Okanagan getaway for two, donated by Tin Horn Creek Winery, one of our fine British Columbia wineries. And earlier tonight, I picked the winner from all those folks that pre-registered before October 15th. And Alan Langdon, you are the lucky winner. Wish you could be here with us this evening, but congratulations. Thanks for donating early. You'll be enjoying that Okanagan Tin Horn Creek visit with your family. Congratulations. We'll be contacting you to get you your prize, Alan. Now, one of the major challenges facing salmon, as we know, is access to the habitat they need for spawning and rearing. These are amazing animals. They're born in freshwater, they head out to the open ocean to grow, and then come back to that same stream where they were born to start the whole process over again. This past March, in the midst of the heart of the coronavirus pandemic, PSF was asked to help fund an in-river project to restore access to some very high-value spawning habitat at the Adams River near Kamloops. Now, this spot is right adjacent to the public viewing platform that many of you will recognize from visiting the Adams River. This is, of course, where the iconic Adams River sockeye return comes in, the big return every 4 years. This is a great project for salmon, but also a model of how PSF works with our partners. Our First Nations, streamkeeper, and government friends all wanted to see something done to address a more than 5-kilometer stretch of de-watered habitat. In other words, this is habitat that salmon need for spawning and rearing to survive. It didn't have enough water. We're seeing more and more of this with climate change. But what was needed was nimble and quick funding during a very short window of opportunity, again, amidst coronavirus, which PSF was able to provide thanks to donors like you. Don't take my word for it. Take a look at this video.
We're in Chychwick Park, and it's along the Adams River, and it's where the sockeye salmon come to spawn. Actually, other species as well, but it's most known for the salute to the sockeye, which is every dominant years, every 4 years. Well, there's been some things that have affected the flow of the river that have straightened out the river, and so there's not as many spawning channels. So that's been an issue, as the river's flowing faster, and there's just not the areas for the salmon to spawn.
In the middle of spawning season, there was water, but in the middle of January, February, middle of winter time, the water levels go down, and all these side channel habitat where fish had spawned quite literally were drying up, and so we had a disaster. The First Nations always talked about this as the land of many islands, and in 2017 we didn't have islands anymore. Everything was basically into one channel, and what we've done is come back and actually let the river go back out to the islands. Through use of excavators, we were able to remove the bed load or the accumulated gravel that was plugging off all the side channel habitat. And so over a 3-week period when the river was at its lowest point, we removed close to 600 dump truck loads of action material and made adjustments to naturalize the system and basically reintroduce the water into the side channels. We're looking at just shy of 5 kilometers of actual wetted corridor that we've brought life back to. That was the great thing about this project, is that often we see the challenges that the fish face, but we can't do anything about it. And with this case, this was a major challenge for the fish, and the Pacific Salmon Foundation was key to making this project actually happen. Without them, quite literally, we'd be looking at a dry creek bed right here. Instead, we're actually seeing, how do you put it, a beautiful piece of river here ready for the salmon to return.
One of the things that I love about that project is that folks were out there working even amidst the pandemic starting, and we were able to carry on and get some important work done for salmon. So now it's time to check in with you all at home watching the show. Let's check in with others who've been tweeting and posting with the hashtag PSF Gala. That's a great last photo. And hello to all of our many volunteers from our various gala and dinner committees all across the province who organize fundraising events for all of us. We are with you tonight in heart and spirit, and thank you for all your help getting this event done. And I should say tonight, this is really a BC-wide gala for salmon, not just our Vancouver Gala. So thank you to all of you who are joining in from across the province and beyond. We're all doing our best to adapt, as I've mentioned, to stay connected amidst COVID, and PSF's close partner and generous supporter, Helijet, is no different. Danny Sytnam accepted the role of the Vancouver Gala Honorary Chair last year, well before COVID. But when COVID hit and everything changed, especially for the airline industry, Danny didn't waver in his support. Next is a message from Helijet President Danny Sytnam about the PSF Helijet partnership and some of the ways Helijet is adapting during COVID.
Hi, my name is Danny Sytnam. I'm President and CEO of Helijet, and I'm proud to be the honorary chair of the 2020 Gala event for PSF. Well, I think it's a great way of really stretching out your antennae and grabbing a lot more than the local community. Hopefully what it'll do is pull people in from many other parts of the geography and put a wider lens on Pacific Salmon Foundation. We've been together now for many years in supporting small projects and so forth, but I think we really formalized the relationship by using our customer base. Through that, we started selling tickets and taking a small portion of that ticket and putting it back to PSF, or supplying helicopter time to do projects like this fishery egg count that we'll do with this light helicopter behind me. I love fishing, and I've been up to Haida Gwaii and really opened up my eyes to what salmon and what nature are all about, and realized that the connection there is how do we support this to continue and continue on. Amidst COVID-19, we've all had to rethink how we're doing our business. The rethink here at Helijet is redeploying our assets and our human resources into other geographies where we can probably add value to our customers in other areas. I believe everyone needs to get in front of this and support PSF. It's one of the few organizations that's making a difference at the ground level of getting salmon understood and preserving the salmon population in BC. So giving up a little bit of time, putting up a little bit of money, it's all for a great cause for our kids, kids, kids. There's two ways that you can participate. You can go on to our online auction, or you can just offer up a donation to PSF. We thank you for joining us.
Thanks for all you and your Helijet team do for us, Danny. You know, you really are part of the family. Danny's one of those guys who's always contacting me and finding out what more can I do, what more can I do? And that has been consistent even through the COVID situation that we've been dealing with. Danny, we love you. We love your family and your team. Thank you very much. Helijet has donated to our auction a great luxury staycation for 4 people, and we could think of no better way to highlight some of our key auction items than to ask our longtime PSF volunteer auctioneer, Brian Rimmer, to put his skills to use. Brian is the common denominator between all of our fundraising events. I host and MC many of them, and we have a great partnership going. He volunteers his time. Brian, I have really missed you, so I am so glad that you were able to make the trip over from Victoria. Brother, come on up. Brian Rimmer, our volunteer auctioneer. Normally the audience would be going crazy right now, Brian, but you'll just have to put up with me clapping for you.
Thank you, Mike, and I've missed you too.
I have missed you too.
It's
I wish
been
I could
a
give you
long
a hug.
6 months.
It has.
Yes.
We're going to get through this. Now, Brian, before we get started, I just have to tell people at home, we are apparently having a little bit of technical challenge with the donate button. But again, use that QR code on your mobile device. It's on the screen. Take a snap of that with your device, and that's going to help you get in so that you can donate and participate here this evening. So, Brian, thanks. You're going to help us with the auction. We've got an amazing auction, and fantastic. I know, like all these events, it's just superb. We have several items that are even above and beyond, and you're going to help us talk a little bit about that. But I understand you have a surprise for me first.
Well, on the island, I have a neighbor Islander reels. So a couple days before I come over, I asked them if they could do up a one-of-a-kind reel. Wow. So they did this one up, and it says Virtual Gala 2020. So this is going to be the only one with that engraving on it. Also with this reel, you'll get your name put on it. Ever who's the winning bidder? It goes to Islander, they'll engrave it, and then ship it back to you.
Holy smokes. Thank you, Brian. So thank you very much. This is remarkable. This is truly one of a kind. This will have not only tonight's date, but your name engraved on it. And that's going to be loaded into the auction as we speak, so you'll be able to start bidding on this reel right now. So
going live.
Going live right now. Okay, so let's start, Brian, by talking about that Helijet luxury staycation that Danny Sydenham and his team have donated. Then they donate generously to all of our auctions. This is a 2-night package for 4 people, including 1 night at the Fairmont Waterfront in Vancouver and 1 night at the Fairmont Empress in Victoria with flights on Helijet. Dinner and brunch are also included. Brian, how are we doing on this one?
Well, there we're sitting here at a $5,000 value. It's at $4,000. I think we should be up at $42.5, $4,500. So there's an auction. 42 and a half, and now 45. Get her rolling. Let's see some bids happen.
We've got a real live auctioneer, ladies and gentlemen, and it's up to you now to respond to him and bid. Okay, thanks for that one on the Helijet. Now we're going to move on to the Langara Fishing Adventures. This is an all-inclusive 3- or 4-day angling adventure for 2 people at Langara Fishing Lodge in Haida Gwaii. Now, details of the link, details are at the link where you bid. Thank you to our long-standing supporter, Langara Fishing Adventures, and of course, their founder and CEO is our former PSF board member, Rick Bourne. Brian, how are we doing on this one?
We're doing fantastic. We're at $9,500, wow. But it's got a lot more to go yet. It's alcohol included.
Come on.
How can you go wrong?
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's see some action on that one.
All right, so we're 9,500.
95. Now 97.5. It can make 10. 10,000.
10.
What do you say?
10,000. Let's do it. For those of you that are new, this is a little shtick that we do. Usually people are into the wine a bit and a little bit louder, but we're making do. Willie Mitchell's Tofino Resort and Marina is also offering a very special fishing adventure. This is a 3-night, 4-day inspired by adventure trip for 2. This trip includes flights to the resort on Harbor Air, angling, eco-adventures, and a private helicopter tour. I know many of us who were stuck in beautiful BC this summer headed out to Tofino and Ucluelet, and this is an amazing an adventure. So, Brian, where are we with this one?
We're sitting at $5,350.
Okay.
It's going to go.
It's going to go.
Oh, yeah. There's somebody that's going to chase Don McNeese on that one. They're going to push him.
And of course, Willie Mitchell, everybody knows, is an amazing retired NHL hockey star, and he is also a true dyed-in-the-wool, passionate supporter of wild Pacific salmon conservation. We see him out and about very much. He's a monthly donor to Pacific Salmon. So what do we need to get this one up to there?
Oh, 55, 5,700.
Let's go, folks. You heard it here first. All right. Tweedsmuir Park Lodge is a new donor. And wow, brand new to our auction, this destination in Bella Coola, this looks seriously high-end, Brian. You and a guest will enjoy an all-inclusive 3-night, 4-day explorer trip where you'll spend time familiarizing yourselves with the Great Bear Rainforest. Again, read more by scanning the QR code and bid displayed on the bidding form. Brian, how do we stand with Tweedsmuir? This is a new entry. Horseback riding.
Yeah. You're $7,100 value, okay. $5,750. Don McNeese again.
Don McNeese.
Thank you. You're going to have to start bidding against yourself to get some movement. Let's see what happens.
But please do, Don. Please bid against yourself. We obviously want to get this one well over retail value. Now, finally here, Dave Mackey is a very special friend to PSF. Brian, we see him at a lot of our events, including Port Alberni and our Duncanby event. Dave creates custom carvings. You see it here on your screen. And this year, he's outdone himself. This is called The Last Dance. It's carved from yellow cedar, and it depicts 2 stunning Chinook salmon. Truly an outstanding piece. And this is usually one of the items that goes for the most in our auctions in Vancouver.
It doesn't stop.
It never stops.
Sometimes it just goes and goes and goes.
So what are we looking for here tonight, Brian? What's the encouragement?
We're at $7,250 right now.
Okay. And
that's It's a beautiful piece.
But past galas, this has gone, remind me, where his work has gone.
$30,000.
$30,000. So folks, we got a long way to go. We got to make sure that we beat those past bids to honor Dave Mackey. Dave, we love you, man. Thank you for this donation to us. Brian, thanks for the update. You go keep your eye on how this is going, and Brian's going to come back then at the end and give us a little push to get over the end. Remember, folks, this auction closes at 8 o'clock.
8 sharp.
And 8 sharp, and by my calculation, that's 28 minutes from now. So get on it.
Let's get some back and forth going.
All right, thank you, my friend.
Mike.
All right, Brian, thanks for coming over. Now, your support will ensure wild salmon for future generations. That is our vision at Pacific Salmon Foundation, very straightforward. That's why, apart from investing in what salmon need now, funding for future salmon leaders will always continue to be a priority for us. Many of the scientists contributing to our Salish Sea Marine Survival Project and community restoration projects are young people pursuing their master's and PhD students, even certificate programs on Vancouver Island. Here's an update from one of those researchers, Kate O'Neill, who is studying the effects of climate change on salmon in several Vancouver Island rivers. Take a look.
So we're in the Solom River today, which is in the Comox Valley, and I'm a master's student with BCIT and SFU doing the Masters of Ecological Restoration. So this is part of my what's called an applied research project, which is similar to a thesis. And this is where I'm doing kind of a temperature study. So the aim of my study is to try to determine where groundwater could be entering the Solom River. So there's kind of two main goals of my project. So the first one is that I'm hoping to, as I mentioned, kind of identify where these groundwater areas are. And that's important so that we can protect them, restore them if they need a little bit more shading, and just identifying these areas really will help us to know, especially with climate change, as stream temperatures get warmer, which areas salmon need to survive. And then we can really put our efforts there. And then the second kind of goal of this study is to come up with a methodology that can then be employed on other salmon-bearing streams in BC. So I'm trying to test out, a relatively simple and cost-effective method to be able to find groundwater so that other streamkeeper groups and groups that don't have, really, really huge budgets are able to use my methodology to find groundwater and identify those areas in their streams as well. Groundwater flows underground and it can sometimes enter the stream, and it's a lot cooler than the stream water is. So when it enters the stream, it can cool the stream down so that the fish don't have such high temperatures that they need to deal with. So that's the purpose of my field research, and that's where we are today. I think that it's really important that young people continue to become concerned and engaged in salmon conservation and protection because, like I mentioned, they're a cold-blooded species, so I think with climate change, we just expect greater issues for them with stream temperatures, and there are just so many other threats to salmon, and they're such a huge and extremely important part of our ecosystem, and also culturally in BC. So I think if young people kind of lose touch with that, then there's going to be, issues for the salmon in the future, and they're really important that we conserve and protect them.
Kate, thank you for all you do. And Kate is trying to take that project she's been doing in the Solom River and now replicate that in many other streams and rivers across BC, and we're looking forward to helping you with that, Kate. Now, the important scientific work that we do at PSF and that we support at PSF is made possible through the generous supporters that we have here tonight and who support us throughout the year. We got into science in a big way about 10 years ago with the leadership of my predecessor, Dr. Brian Riddle, to help us take on a leadership role in understanding the many factors that are limiting salmon health and abundance. This work was not being done, and PSF got on with the leadership of doing this important research. A major area of scientific leadership has been our Strategic Salmon Health Initiative to help us create a full inventory of the pathogens with potential to cause harmful disease in wild salmon. And this is so critical as we think about many of these streams that have so small numbers of Pacific salmon returning. We need to do everything we can to build those salmon up. Now, this is innovative genomic research that we've funded. It's akin to the Human Genome Project. In partnership with Fisheries and Oceans Canada, the federal government, we were able to discover heart and skeletal muscle inflammation disease caused by what's called the piscine orthoreovirus in open net pen salmon farms in BC. First time this has ever been discovered here. And subsequently, this research has discovered 15 pathogens not previously known to be in Pacific salmon. This is why PSF believes that salmon farming should be moved to closed containment as soon as possible. We must put wild salmon first. This research, informed by the federal government, informed policy changes. The federal government's decision, as you know, in the last federal election, was to move to closed containment by 2025. And with your help, we were able to do the science and the research that helped inform that decision. And we will continue to work with government, First Nations, to provide that science and technical advice to, again, make sure that we are putting wild salmon first in BC. Now, we've heard about the great impact that habitat restoration has on things like side channels in the Adams River. We've learned about how PSF supports young scientists and researchers like Kate O'Neill. We have our wonderful annual bursary program that supports many students. And we've learned about the many challenges that face wild Pacific salmon and what we're doing at PSF, particularly as we figure out how to deal with these issues in the context of climate change. And now, we're asking for your help. As Jason said in an earlier video tonight, we need your support now more than ever. Salmon are resilient, and we can make a difference for them together. As Jason mentioned in the video, right now we're meeting about half of the demand for our community-based projects. So there's a lot to do. This is why we need you to give generously tonight, whether it's a tax-deductible donation or bidding in our auction. Now, I mentioned this earlier, but we are excited to share that the Gayton family of longtime PSF Director Bob Gayton and the Kay family of Duncanby Lodge have stepped up to offer a matching fund for tonight's programs. And the details are there on the screen. These longtime supporters of PSF are offering to match up to $50,000 in donations. For every dollar contributed, they will match it tonight. So donating tonight means that your impact has the potential to be doubled. And remember, and I may not have said this yet, generally speaking, PSF gets a $4 to $7 leverage out of every donated dollar. In other words, your dollar we're able to turn into at least $4 to $7 more working with our many partners. Folks, now is the time. It's almost 7:40. We have 20 minutes left in this event. If you are thinking of making a donation tonight, please scan the QR code on the screen and you can make a tax-deductible contribution of any denomination. Let's look at a few examples of what these funds that you're going to be donating can support. A $10,000 donation could fund work like a recent grant to the Langley Environmental Partners Society for habitat rehabilitation for salmon. This group received funds from PSF this past spring for a culvert replacement to improve fish passage at Cave Creek. Now, this means that if fish can't get back to their streams to spawn, then we can't grow and restore salmon. Clive Johnson just saw that $10,000 come in. Thank you very much, Clive Johnson. Another donor just coming in for $250, but at the $10,000 level, folks, if you're thinking that you can do that tonight, thank you to Clive Johnson for that, CEO of B2 Gold, a longtime friend and supporter. That's the $10,000 level. Let me talk now about the $5,000 level and what a contribution at that amount, again, tax deductible, can do. We had a recent project that did eelgrass debris cleanup by the Gibson's Marine Education Center on the Sunshine Coast. These are volunteers, and they work to revitalize critical habitat. That eelgrass is essential. When our little salmon are going out, they need to hide in the eelgrass and the kelp and get nutrients from all of that habitat. I just see a $5,000 donation came in from John Hodgins, a member of our Salmon Endowment Board. Thank you, John, for that $5,000 contribution. I see a $2,000 contribution from Pam Goldsmith-Jones, George Hungerford, $2,500. Both board members, thank you very much. Wow, this is truly inspiring. So $5,000, folks, that's what it can get you. It can get you major habitat restoration in an area that has been degraded of kelp and eelgrass to support. Another $5,000 donation just came in from Chuck Janess, and another from Doug Andrew. Chuck's the former CEO of Gold Corp. Chuck, you're joining us from Nevada, I believe. Thank you. That's a US dollar donation. Thank you very much. And Doug Andrew, our great supporter from Kamloops, we appreciate you gentlemen doing that for us. Okay, that's the $5,000 level. Let me move on to what you can do at the $2,500 level. We can take 50 students and fund them to experience the Stream of Dreams program, a hands-on educational experience involving public art in their school setting. This is a program that you've seen the fish on the fences. The kids paint the fish and have the long-lasting display. $2,500. Kevin Nugent, our board chair from Calgary, thank you, at the $2,500 level. And I saw Jeff Giesbrecht came in there as well with a donation. You've seen these fish on the walls of the schools. It's an amazing program about the life cycle and really generating that next generation of stewards. British Pacific Properties, I just saw they came in at $2,000. George Rifle, one of our emeritus board members, thank you very much. Fortis BC just coming in with, this is so exciting. I'm having so much fun with this. I hope you can tell. Thank you for all those donations. Okay, that was $2,500. Let's talk now. I'm at $1,000. Andrew Graham, my good buddy, my fishing buddy, Andrew Graham. I didn't even have to explain $1,000, what it'll get you, and Andrew Graham is giving. Thank you, buddy. A contribution of $1,000 will make it possible for a whole classroom of students to learn about the salmon life cycle through the Salmonids in the Classroom program. We fund the tanks in the classrooms where the salmon grow and then are released back into the wild, and the kids get to see firsthand how this whole process works. Again, recruiting those young people to be good stewards, have that stewardship ethos about our streams and our river and looking after the salmon. So thank you very much, Andrew Graham, for getting us started at the $1,000 level. That's a great donation level. Again, I know I've said it before, these are tax-deductible donations. I want to recognize a donation from a special friend that came in before the event, Rob and Brenda McIntyre over in Qualicum Beach on the island. I know you're with us tonight. Brenda's our long-time director of our events program, now retired. Thank you very much, Brenda, for your support. And I'm told also, I've got a little thing in my ear, people are whispering in me, Canadian Fishing Company, one of our long-standing commercial fishery organizations, also in at that level of $1,000. Thank you very much to Canadian Fishing Company and all of you that are donating. I saw the Rifles came up there with another personal gift as well. Thank you to the Rifle family, George and Wendy. Now, you don't have to give it these levels of 4 figures and above. We're happy to take 3-figure donations, like $350. And it looks like we have a donation that's come in from the Swift Datu Law Corporation at that level. This is one of our supporters of the Comox Valley, supports the dinner committee there, supporting this gala here tonight. Thank you very much. $350. I see Terry Nadelli, I hope I got that name right, Terry Nedley, just came in for $100 as well. We will take donations of any amount. We will put it to good use for the salmon. Thank you to Terry for that $100 donation. Wow. So those were incredible contributions to see those coming in. Thank you very much to everyone who's made a contribution here live tonight, whether it's $25 or $2,500. Michael Schuster just coming in there at $1,000. Thank you, Michael. Every donation matters. Michael's donation is $1,000, but through our community salmon program, it'll actually become a $6,000 or $7,000 donation because what our community partners, First Nations partners, are able to do at the local level. Now, if you haven't attended a PSF event before, I got all my family back in the States watching here tonight as well and some friends. We're glad to have you tune in virtually. We've been so overwhelmed with the number of new people that have seen our gala on social media and signed on to support. So let's check in with a few more of you at home. But before we do, we're going to take a quick look at the totalizer. Holy smokes, we're at $317,000. That is amazing. Wow, super unbelievable. Obviously helping us get over our goal. Let's take a look at that group from home, though, to see what they're up to. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as I told you, I've got folks whispering in my ear here, which is really helpful. We got over that $300,000 goal there, as you saw on the totalizer, and I was just informed how we got to that level. I want to acknowledge David Elliott and his family, longtime supporters. They just made a $25,000 donation, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to give that one a round of applause, and I'm going to raise my champagne glass that I've been having hiding. David Elliott, to you and your family, toast to you. Thank you very much for that leadership, to the Elliott family and all of you who have been supporting us. We are coming now perilously close to the end of our program. I know I've gone a little bit over. John Woodward and Campbell River, I know, always likes me to keep on time. I'm sorry. But it's a special occasion and a different time we're living in here. So if you have not had a chance to donate, you can visit the PSF Virtual Gala.com page and also do the QR code. That link will remain active following the show. You can continue to make donations to PSF for up to 24 hours. Now, the auction is going to close here in just about 12 minutes, but you can continue to make donations for the next 24 hours. And again, those are tax deductible. But before we end on the auction, because we've only got a few minutes left on that, I want to call Brian Rimmer, our volunteer auctioneer. Brian, come on back out. Give me an update on where we stand with those various auction items we talked about earlier.
Helijet Staycation, $4,000.
Okay, great. $4,000. We can do better. You got time.
The Langara, $9,500.
Oh, $9,500. Come on, folks. Let's get that over 10.
You know what's going to happen? People wait for the last second so the next person can't take that bid.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. Lay in
wait.
wait.
Fingers ready.
Crouching Tiger.
Okay, and thank you to Langara for that wonderful donation too.
Tofino Getaway, $5,350.
Awesome.
Don's still on that.
Okay, who's the lead bid on that one? Do you know?
Don McNeese.
Don McNeese. Don, stick with it, man. We love you, Don. Don is one of our great supporters. Bridgeview Marine, who builds many of the boats at our fishing lodges all up and down the coast. Thank you, Don, for all you do for us.
Yep. The Tiswell Park Lodge Explorer, trip for two.
Tweedsmuir.
$57.50.
$57.50. Great.
Yep.
Good.
Don's on that one also.
Don's on it. Somebody's got in and beat Don on that one. And we want to make a nice showing for Tweedsmuir so they keep donating to us in the future. Right, Brian?
Right. And The Last Dance. That is beautiful.
The Dave Mackey carving there.
$72.50.
$72.50.
Anonymous.
Anonymous.
Yep.
Okay. But folks, there's time here. Anything else? You got anything else there?
The Islander Reel's moving along.
Oh, yeah.
It's at $650.
Islander Reel is at $650. And Brian, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Wonderful, generous donation. Thank you very much. And Brian, thank you, our volunteer auctioneer, for making the trip over here. This night is complete because you're here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. Well, we have one final video to share as the program closes. You're going to hear a conversation here with Tina Donald of the Simpcw First Nation and learn how a recent emergency funding grant from PSF helped the Dunn Creek hatchery recover after a major flood. But before and I just saw my predecessor, Brian Riddle, I think came in at $1,500 there. It went really quick. I'm hoping I got that right. Brian, love you, man. Thank you very much. You have taken us so far in this foundation, and your generosity, you and Lorna, much appreciated. Thank you very much. Before we end, though, this evening, I have to say some thank yous that aren't in the script. I want to thank my team, our development and events team, and I've got to start especially with Christina McIntyre. Thanks, Jeff Bell, for that donation. Christina McIntyre had to retool and reprogram instantly, and she has done a phenomenal job here tonight. So big round of applause to Christina McIntyre, our events director. And I also want to thank Corey Matheson, Daniel Lanigan, Margaret Butner, Catherine Lee, Jolene Willington, and they're all on our development and fundraising team at PSF to help make this possible. And our good friends at Peak Technologies. Give them a big round of applause. Thank you so much, guys, for helping make this such a professional experience here this evening. And I'm loving seeing all of these bids come in through Givergy. Thank you, Givergy, for your support. Wow, this has been amazing. I hope you have enjoyed this as much as I have. It's been great. But I miss all of you, and I am very confident that we're all going to be back together having fun at these events and galas in the future. Thank you for all you've done. We're going to go out here with a video. We've got about 9 minutes left for you to bid Let's bid and donate generously. And I want to just wish all of you health, happiness, and safety in the coming days. From all of us at the Pacific Salmon Foundation, thank you and good night.
We've had Dunn Hatchery in existence since 1983, and Simp First Nation has looked after it. I've been involved in the hatchery since '93, doing stewardship and education out of the hatchery and out of our office for the whole North Thompson and the Robson Valleys. It's been 15 years since we've harvested Chinook out of Fen Creek, and that was our last traditional fishing stream. With us raising salmon here in Dunn Creek coming back, last year we had just over 2,800 come back to the system through our fence site. The year before that was well over 3,000 that we had returning. But our numbers here are doing well in the streams that we look after. I believe because of the stewardship and education that we've been doing. Last year marked the 15th year that I've been involved in stewardship and education. So the night of the flooding, if you can imagine a creek flowing through here. Probably when we got here, it was close to a foot deep coming over here. We would have had to reduce the amount of fish that we raised here if Pacific Salmon Foundation hadn't helped.